10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone is having a legendary day. So, it's official. My favorite time of the year. It's time for summer break. Well, this isn't my favorite time of the year, but this is for summer break. And then we have Niner training camp. We're going to go over that today. But before we get started, of course, we got to remind you to listen to the end of the show to get a special coupon code to save 10% off of For the Faithful by the Faithful apparel, exclusively available at ninerfaithfulradio.com/shop. Shop49ers.com or shop49ers.com affiliate link and save 10%. All you have to do is click on the link in the description of the podcast or video. Go to seatgiant.com. Use the promo code NinerFaithfulRadio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/subscribe to see everywhere you can subscribe to the show. And, of course, follow us on social media at Niner Faithful Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, and Niner Faithful Radio or Niner Faithful R on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, faithful of all ages, let's get the show cracking.
You are now listening to Niner Faithful Radio, the show for the faithful, by the faithful.
All right, so we're trying to get Brian to come on the show. Of course, there's technical difficulties because there always is. So how's everybody doing? Hope y'all having a legendary day. We're gonna go ahead and break down 9 wide receivers for you today. And I messed up and fucking, of course. Hopefully this will work. If not, we might just have to cancel this week's show. Which would suck because we only got so long to do this before camp starts. Training camp will, of course, start July 29th. It's when the Niners will be reporting. So I think that's what. Hold on. I'll count it from today. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. 2, 3. So 6. That's 45 days from now. So not too far. What is all right. You know what? Let's go ahead and go on Twitch commercial and we'll be back in 3 minutes. Hopefully we can figure this shit out. All right. What the fuck is going on? Sorry about this, y'all. How much do we have left? We have a minute. By the time this shit's over. Man, this shit is so embarrassing. So, oh Christ. I literally just clicked on it right now. What's it? Yeah, just click on it. Yeah. I don't see the issue. So, of course, everybody loves seeing this. This is why we get 1 million viewers every show. Because, people want to choose the last minute to fucking log in. Try to share this shit. All right, at least that's pinned. Here we go. All right, this should be somebody. All right, Brian, you there? Hold on. Your mic's muted.
Yeah, I'm right here.
There you go. All right, cool. We're back. All right, give me a second. Can I go right there? Let me see. All right, we got 30 seconds because I went on a Twitch commercial. So,
Oh yeah.
Is this muted? Okay, yeah, cool.
I don't know. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hold on. All right, is anybody watching? Where are people watching at?
Oh, there, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can find headphones because I hear the echo. All right, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. You got an echo, bro. I tried putting in headphones.
Hold up. Okay. Now?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. That's way better. All right. So, sorry about that, y'all. We totally just wasted like 10 minutes of y'all's time. Anyway, so, like I was saying, camp is going July 29th. Okay. So today we're going to go ahead and look over at the receiver position. And I think that it's pretty clear that the first 5 receivers on this roster are, barring injury, knock on wood, are pretty much set. And I would assume, everybody would know that'd be Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Ray McLeod, and Danny Gray. You see any different in the top 5?
I see every single one of those. And if there's a situation, well, we'll see in a bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's really the battle of the third wide receiver or fifth wide receiver or six. Sorry, six. Can't do my math right now. The sixth wide receiver. This is why we decided to do this. Is I mean, if you're ultimately discussing the sixth wide receiver on the roster, I think you're in pretty good shape. It's to me, which is really was really nice when you look back to 2019, which is when you could say this team really started to compete, and having to go and make that midseason trade for Emmanuel Sanders, and where we are just 2 seasons later, where I feel our receiver room's one of the deepest from top to bottom positions on the offense. I believe the deepest. I don't think there's any other position group where on offense that's not superstar, because I believe probably George Kittle's probably our best weapon on offense. I would think overall best. Trent Williams is our best overall player on offense, but our best skill position offensive weapon is George Kittle. But I just behind, and we'll obviously get into the tight ends here and over the next couple weeks. But second string, I don't think that the second string tight end is as deep as our second receiver, Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, I think, could be a legit number one receiver, number two option on this football team. He's not. But Brian, your thoughts on the receiver room?
Pretty solid. I know that we didn't have to bring much guys in there. For sure you got to lock in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and then you got guys like Jawan Jennings, who's Mohamed Sanu, who was there last year, who can be great third down receivers. The third receiver on the depth chart. And I don't really mind that. And then you bring a guy in like Danny Gray from the draft, and then also Ray McLeod from free agency, which I like. They're both speedsters, and Kyle Shanahan really likes that. And as far as depth wise, I really like this situation, and it also depends on the workload because we did lose Wes Welker, our receivers coach, and we'll have to see what's the situation there.
Well, there's only one position coach on the offense, and that's offensive line, that isn't going through a new position coach. And so this is why I've always said that, to me, the defense has to carry this team. To me, this is why I think, and this goes back to why I think if you really look, special teams and defense is what we really attacked in free agency. And I think that's because the team's saying that special teams, I mean, you don't necessarily need your special teams to win you games, at least your return unit. You can say whatever you want about, obviously you need we're going to need Robbie Gould to probably win us a game or two this year. Not necessarily game-winning field goals, but hey, Robbie's three, and again, we won by 6. Robbie's 3 field goals were huge type of games. You feel me?
Yeah.
But the one thing any football coach, any football fan, whatever, will tell you, you can't have special teams cost you games. And let's be real, the special teams cost us both games against the Seahawks last year. And we all, and that's the scary thing about football. Is honestly, I thought the Green Bay game was going to save Richard Hightower's job for another year. I did. And I think that's what's scary with playoffs and things are magnitude. And things are such that big magnitude is that, and they're the playoffs, everything's such great magnitude. People let one play judge their thing about years. And the Niners special teams have been subpar for years. This has been an issue in the Shanahan era. And so I was glad to see that Shanahan didn't let one play, which is, probably one of the biggest. Nobody ever really talks about it, but Niners Whackers are a pretty significant rivalry in NFL history. I would dare say we've probably played the Whackers more times than we played the Cry Girls in the playoffs. Because we played the Cry Girls 8 times. We played Aaron Rodgers alone 4. You add the 3-4 games against Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre. Niners might have played the Whackers just as many times in the playoffs. I'll have to look that up. Maybe when I let Brian steal the show here in a little bit. But so I love the Ray McCloud signing because to me, he's going to play a role on offense. At least that's what the plan is. That's what Mayoko said. That's what all the team beat writers have said. I love it because the addition of special teams, which you realized last time the Niners, it's funny to say, I remember this game very distinctly. It was when I found out I was going to have my son. Actually, when I found out my baby mama was pregnant again, was the Ted Ginn 2-touchdown punt return touchdowns against the Seahawks in Harbaugh's first game. That's the last time we had a punt return for a touchdown. And it's funny because our new special teams coordinator was on the Seahawks staff that year. So he said he remembered it quite well, actually. But that's the last time we've had it. Now, Richie James has had a kick return, since then, ironically enough, against the Seahawks. But so Danny Gray, I love because I just need Danny Gray to catch 2-3 passes this year. That's it. 2-3 game-changing passes, and I think it'll play huge dividends this season because that's a threat. Because you have to respect his speed. Now teams can match up with speed. You can play further back. You can roll coverage his way. Team defense have a way to take away any player they want to. If you only have one player, they can stop that player. I don't care who that player is. They'll still get theirs, but they won't let them take over the game. I think that the Bears proved that in Jerry Rice's last game. They literally let T.O. catch more passes in an NFL game than anybody had ever done in history before they let Jerry pretty much do anything. So I just need Danny Gray to do that one pass. And that will back things up, open things up for the running game. And then obviously you got Debo, you got Brandon Ayuk. I expect big things from Brandon Ayuk this year. Debo, I want to say this delicately, but Debo's going to disappoint this year. And when I say disappoint, I think he's going to have a fine season. I think he's going to be one of our best players, probably our best receiver, all that. But he's just not going to have that type of season probably ever again in his NFL career. It's what I tell people all the time. I remember telling my girl, I tell my girl this all the time when we talk football. As I said, look, what makes the legends really legends is I said, not that they have great seasons. Any player can have great seasons. I said, what makes them legends is they have it year after year after year after year after year. And I said, Debo's just not going to do that because he's not going to have a season comparable to Jerry Rice year after year after year after year. Why? Because Debo's not Jerry. So I really look at Brandon Ayuk because I think this offense is transitioning. And I think that we're going to lean less on George Kittle as far as the pass catching aspect. And I think that I'm just curious because the way I look at it is if this football team is playing the way we want to play, I don't think anybody's going to get enough volume of targets to have a superstar type of season. You know, if you're like, oh, Debo's going to get 1,000 yards and Ayuk's going to get 1,000 yards and Kittle's going to get 1,000 yards and Juwan Jennings going to get 1,000 yards. Well, bro, we're not going to pass the ball that much to have four different 1,000-yard receivers. But anyway, Brian, I'm gonna let you take it away and let you rebuttal to some of this stuff. I'm gonna look up how many times we played the Whackers in the playoffs.
But yeah, as far as the Debo situation, you know, that situation where he had that Jerry Rice season, you could have that, but just like you said it best, consistently. You know, it's really hard to do that in the NFL, especially as people try to catch on to you. And this offseason, I think Debo Samuel had the same offseason as he did last season because he knew he couldn't have that same 2020 season. And that's you see him all over social media putting out his workout videos. And you know, I like it, you know, everything. He's definitely going to be more involved in the passing game. He was involved in the passing game. He had 1,400 yards by week
He's
8.
our first 1,000-yard receiver since Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, and yeah, you know the situation is going to change. He's not going to play running back anymore.
No,
supposedly we'll have to see, but you know he's not the best route runner, but he does have that yak, and that's his it factor right there, and that's why you know he's Debo Samuel, and that's what's not going to make him from Jerry Rice, that situation, and
he plays
going
a different game than Jerry.
Yeah, exactly. He can have the same amount of impact if he really wants to in the game of football, but you know, on a consistent level, I could see it just because his attributes to it, it's great. And you know, the thing is him going down is because he had such an amazing season. It's really hard to carry off from that. And just do it back to back to back to back to back. It's really difficult.
Yeah, and see that's not to say Debo won't even have 1,000 yards receiving this year. He very well could.
Yeah,
you know, but what I was mainly trying to say by that point, and I think it's true, is you just if you're just not. I don't think there's going to be the volume of passes to have 4 or 5, 1,000-yard receivers. We don't want it unless we're behind, which brings up a whole other discussion because if we're throwing the ball enough to have 4 or 5,000 different 1,000-yard receivers, then that means we're behind a lot. And that brings in serious questions like, okay, so what happened? Is Trey Lance not the answer? Is Trey Lance the problem? Which is a huge fucking issue for the future of the franchise. the Javarius Ward, because to me, I was thinking about this today, just randomly thinking to myself, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Brian. I asked myself, do the Niners have a legit shot at winning the Super Bowl this year? And I said, okay, and I went by each position in my head, right? Do I think we have a championship caliber defensive line? Yes. Do I think we have a championship level linebacking core? Yes. Do I think we have a championship caliber secondary? Potentially. And that is where I struggled to myself, and I'm like, okay. So to me, because special things have to happen every year you win a championship. Just fluke shit has to happen. That's really why one of the plays is so funny, because really the moment I felt, besides obviously the Super Bowl, the moment in 2019 where I felt like we were really going to win the Super Bowl truly, and I really felt like this team was different, was the Forrest Buckner touchdown, the Monday night at Levi Stadium against the Seahawks that we lost. But just how game after game after just time after time after time after time after time in that game, plays just kept happening. Then it was like this team just refused to lose. You know, and especially remembering the worst we should have walked out of that stadium with was a tie. But I thought when Dre Greenlaw picked off that pass in overtime, I thought it was a done deal. Anyway, and so to me, it's things like that have to happen. And so the secondary is where I think the Niners really do have a legit opportunity to sit there and say, hey, you know what? Maybe our secondary really is better than what people think it is. Like, we're really, maybe Charvarius Ward, and I'm not taking top 5 corner. I'm not saying fucking Deion Sanders is prime, but just can make enough, because we don't need him to make 50 million plays. We don't need him to be Jalen Ramsey. Because ultimately, when it comes down to crunch time, we're not relying on our secondary. We're relying on our
D-line
to get home.
Yeah.
So how we want to win as a football team is you're not even getting the passes off in the fourth quarter because our D-line's teeing off. And so the secondary, to me, is where I have circled. Another position is receiver. Because everybody looks at Debo and everything, and like I said, I think I don't even want to call it a step back. I just want to say you can't have a career year every year.
Yeah, but in that sense, I think Brandon and I could easily pick up the pieces that Debo is leaving.
Him and Brian Jennings. Because it's starting to get to the point where in the Lishahan regime, where we're starting to be where you can't pay everybody. And we've kind of seen this. Now, obviously, the biggest note is Defoe. Which Defoe wasn't a part of this organization. But you're going to have to see, like last year, we saw KB go. Kendrick Bourne was literally been on this team all Shanahan's tenure. You're going to start to see players go. And to me, look, there was a reason. Say whether it's right, say whatever it was. There was a reason that Brandon Ayuk was in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse last year. And to me, it matters because let's be real. The person who decides who gets played on this football team is Kyle Shanahan.
Exactly.
Trent Williams was going to be a Kansas City Chief until Kyle Shanahan made a phone call and said, no, he's not. And that's when Trent Williams basically, essentially, probably guaranteed he's going to end his career a Niner. When Kyle said, no, you're paying him. It wasn't Parag. It wasn't John Lynch. It was Kyle who said, no, you're paying him. Get it done. And it happened. So I'm not saying talent-wise. or anything, because Brandon Ayuk is obviously clearly very talented. But if it comes down to paying Jawan Jennings and paying Brandon Ayuk, and Shanahan's loving everything about Jawan Jennings, and there's some type of disconnect between Brandon Ayuk and Kyle, I'm just saying the head coach is the same as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Kyle's the one that calls the plays.
Uh-huh.
Kyle's the one. I mean, yeah, fine. He leaves it up to the position coaches to rotate in receivers. No, if Kyle says that he wants certain player, and so that's gonna matter. And so I expect big things from Brandon Ayuk because I expect this to be the make or break it year. Because I don't think Brandon Ayuk's career as a Niners done by any means. I think this is the challenge. This is okay, hey, Brandon, you were in the doghouse. We worked through it, right? We hashed it out. There was that meeting where words were exchanged. Everything's good. Okay, so how do you come back this year? Did you take it to heart? And is everything all good? Or are you coming back with the same attitude or whatever the same issue was? And so that's why I'm expecting big things. Oh, we have a comment. Let me see. Hey, what's up? Niners Media, what's up, baby? How you doing? So I expect, but just something about Jawan Jennings. Something about him makes me think like, not that he's going to be our number one receiver or whatever like that, or anything crazy, but that he's just going to have a big impact on this football team.
Yeah, I can definitely see it, especially in tight situations last year. Those third downs and the NFC Championship game or that Week 17 game, keep him in clutch. And what more can you ask for a receiver?
And and ultimately, not to cut you off, ultimately, I think what it is Shanahan loves this mentality. Because Shanahan has said he loves dogs, and that's what Jawan Jennings is. And if you listen to when he got drafted, if you listen to the phone call, he was like, "Coach, you got yourself a dog, Coach. I promise." And everything. And that's why Kyle fell in love with him, is because Jawan Jennings is a dog. and so I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to see the tea leaves. I'm trying to see the tea leaves of, okay, I'm not saying that Brandon Ayuk shouldn't get all the targets. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to read the tea leaves. Hey, Kyle Shanahan loves a dog. Jawan Jennings is a dog. He proved late last year, right when this team started to ascend is right when Jawan Jennings seemed to kind of take off. Now, of course, there was multiple factors. I'm not saying it was strictly because of Jawan Jennings, but that's when, and he came through clutch. And that's how you, same with KB. We've seen it before with Kendrick Bourne. How did Kendrick Bourne become like a son to Kyle Shanahan? He came through in clutch, New Orleans, just multiple times. KB, we all said it. FDRZ, first down red zone, like first down touchdown. That was what Kendrick Bourne was. And that, what you're going to gain your quarterback, your coaches trust the most, in clutch situations, third down and in the red zone. And that's why I'm looking at Jawan Jennings and saying, you know what, I expect some big things from him this year.
Yeah, exactly. And the question I did want to ask you is, okay, we can both agree that, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel could be true number one wide receivers.
Yeah.
But in what situation have you seen two caliber first receiver ones have the same type of gameplay they have on a team? Like, for example,
I mean,
like, how does that situation work? What was that?
I mean, if you're saying, how's everything going to work? How's the ball going to get spread around and everything like that? I ultimately think this is where character matters. This is where, and all these things work itself out, because either they're going to be cool with it and hey, it doesn't matter. I'm out here, working with my brother, whatever, or somebody's gonna pout about it, and they're probably not gonna stick around very long.
Yeah.
And so these things have a way of working itself out, and ultimately, also with strictly speaking to 2020. Strictly speaking to 2022, not looking in the future of what this offense could be, what Trey Lance could become. Strictly speaking of 2022, it's not going to matter because, like I said, I don't think we're going to pass the ball that much. In an ideal situation, and ultimately, if we're passing the ball a lot, that means we're losing games. Because if it's any type of close game, and I mean, and Kyle Shanahan has seen, we seen it in Week 18 last year. We ran the football to get back in that game. We didn't throw the ball to get back into that football game. We ran the ball to get back into that game against the Rams at Week 18, the last game of the year. And so, if we're passing the ball a lot, that means we're losing. And if all of a sudden receivers are happy and everything, then I don't want them here anyway, because I don't want somebody who's like, hey, look, I'm happy, I'm getting my stats. Yeah, we're 4-9, but I'm on pace for 1,500 yards and 120 catches, And so I think that ultimately it's not going to matter, because I just think we're just going to run the shit out of the football. And I think what you're going to see is that we're going to be essentially a team that tries to run the football down the field. And I think when we get close into the red zone, I think that the run threat of Trey, like you saw last year, what were some of, besides the game he started, what was essentially what Trey Lance did? He came in the red zone when it was he could run or pass threat. So ultimately, it's going to be run down the field, and then you're going to have Trey. Hey, he could bootleg it, roll out. Fine. You have obviously the ability to just still run the ball in, But I think that's when most of our passing is going to come. Let me bounce one back off of you, and then we'll go ahead and let you get out of here, bro, and we'll end the show. Over under Trey Lance touchdowns at, we'll say, what did Jimmy have last year?
Yes, around 20, 17, 21.
Oh, okay. You know what? We'll do it like this. Jimmy's best season was 27 touchdowns in 2019. Over or under 20. We'll put at 25. Over or under. Or 26. We'll put it 26.
It depends, because I
yeah,
see
it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because he could have a lot of rushing touchdowns, and I would have to go over, because I think he'll have more touchdowns like on broken plays, or
I see. I get what you're saying. I think you're gonna see a lot of. I think a lot. I'm gonna go over as well, and the reason I'm gonna go over is because if anything that we picked up, and I'd be curious to see if this, continues in the training camp. But one thing I've always picked up just through the OTAs, whatever offseason stage the Niners were in with Jimmy, is the team has struggled a lot in the red zone. And the one thing I seem to get through OTAs from the different, beat writers that are the different media that are there, whose podcasts and shit I watch and listen to, that Trey seemed to do well in the red zone. And so to me, I think he's going to get a lot of passing touchdowns in the red zone.
Yeah.
I think that's good. The Trey Lance in the red zone. Now, I think what will make the difference in whether we're a legit team or a struggling team is how often do we get in the red zone. Very few people know this. Did you know the number one I read somewhere, this could be wrong, but the number 1 or 2 red zone offense in the NFL in 2016? You know who it was?
The Niners.
The Niners. The year we went 2-14 under Chip Kelly, we were I believe it was the number 1 or number 2 scoring red zone offense. But
Just
what
couldn't
was the
get there.
problem? We didn't get
We
there.
didn't get there.
Exactly. So what the difference I think will make either Trey Lance a great quarterback, or I mean, what will make us a good football team or a struggling football team is how often do we get in the red zone. And I think that we'll get in the red zone enough that Trey Lance will have the sufficient touchdowns to get, what did I say, 26? So fine, 27.
25,
To tie Jimmy. And then also you add in the 1 to 2 touchdowns like Debo had last year against Houston, where it was just simply Trey scrambling around, finding Debo and hitting him. I mean, we're going to get 2 or 3 of those, maybe even 4 of those touchdowns this year, I would think. Just simply broken plays, scrambling around, and, I hit Brandon Ayuk down the field for a 60-yard.
I could definitely see that.
And Kyle Shanahan because what makes Kyle Shanahan great as a scheme player is not necessarily his play design in the sense of most teams run the same plays, especially now when a lot of people are coming from the Shanahan coaching tree. What makes Kyle Shanahan best is knowing assignments and putting in players in position and conflict, where it's you either way you guess wrong, or in the sense that moment of hesitation, or that what do I do? Well, on pieces of paper, you might be able to do that when live bullets are flying and it's George Kittle, who you're matched up against and not, some scrub on the scout team. And that's what makes Kyle Shanahan great. So the chaos I think Kyle Shanahan can create, and then now where he could say, hey, with Jimmy, I might have had to get the ball out in 1.5 seconds. Because Trey, now I could design a play that could take 3 seconds to get the ball off. Hey, Trey, you give me 3 seconds on this play, I'll give us a touchdown. Those things. And so, yeah, I definitely think that Trey will get over. I think 27 would be reasonable. Passing touchdowns. I think that I want to, and I don't want to put too much expectations on him, but I'm high on this football team where I think our secondary, now we'll see during camp, but I think our secondary is legit. I think our receiving core is legit. My biggest concern is obviously the offensive line, which we'll talk about, here over the next couple weeks. But, and obviously having a young quarterback. But I think that we have enough. I think that a lot of people point to Trey Lance being a young quarterback and not having that many starts under his belt. But usually with young quarterbacks, you don't have Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, Trent Williams. You don't have a defense with Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Drake Jackson, Jimmy Ward, Javarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, like et cetera. Or a coach like Kyle Shanahan. Usually when you're the 3rd overall pick, you're coming to a team that's in Kyle Shanahan's first year, not in his 5th year, where he's had 5 years to build this team and took this team to a Super Bowl. Usually your rookie season, even if you sit on the bench, if you're the 3rd overall pick, even if you're sitting on the bench, your team's not playing in the NFC Championship game. So I believe that we will overcome Trey's struggles as long as he doesn't turn the ball over. He can't kill us. I can live with Trey Lance missing a wide open receiver. What I can't miss is Trey Lance missing so bad that the other team picks it. And now all of a sudden you're giving them the ball at their 25-yard line. Or our 25-yard line. Or now all of a sudden you threw a pick in the red zone and you took away 3 points that now it's 7 the other way. That's -4 points. You just took 3 points from us and now turned it into a 4-point deficit because you turned the ball over. And now, they scored a touchdown off that turnover. That's how you lose football games. So, but I think that Trey Lance, as long as he's not doing those things, I think that he's talented enough. The team around him's talented enough, and our defense and receiving core are improved enough that we'll be able to do some things. All right, Brian, I'll let you go ahead and give some final thoughts before we get up out of here, bro. Go ahead, final thoughts.
No, just other Rich Sherman said it to the broadcast booth to Amazon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just official right now. But yeah, the receiver core, I mean, I like it. I can't complain. I'm fascinated about that situation with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Are they going to switch roles, or I could definitely see him, especially the personnel. Are we going to run 2 tight ends? I could see us more passing more as opposed to running the ball. It all depends, but yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's going to be very interesting summer for show. All right, well, thanks, Brian. We'll go ahead and we'll see if we can get you back on here next week, bro.
Alrighty.
All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and end the show. But before we get up out of here, we, of course, have to remind everybody to help out Niner Faithful Radio by using our shop49ers.com affiliate link and save 10%. All you have to do is click on the link in the description of the video or podcast. Go to SeatGiant.com. Use the promo code Niner Faithful Radio to save on all your theater, concert, and sporting event tickets, as well as help out the show. Go to NinerFaithfulRadio.com/subscribe to see everywhere you can subscribe to the show. And, of course, follow the show on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr at Niner Faithful Radio and at Niner Faithful R on Twitter. And lastly but not least, thank you for tuning in to the end of the show. As promised, this week's discount code for 10% off of all Season 2 for the Faithful by the Faithful Apparel is Season 2. 10% excludes any on-sale items and cannot be used with any other coupon. Coupon expires midnight, August 30th, 2022. I shall see y'all next week. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners.
You are now listening to Niner Faithful Radio, the show for the faithful, by the faithful.